Hello there, it's Greg from RewardBet, and in this tutorial I want to go through what everybody loves, and that's betting, and in particular betting with RewardBet. So I'm going to be using the RewardBet N+1 version, which is our newest version, or version 3 as we call it, and there's some detail here which I won't go into because you can look at the other tutorials about that, especially things to do for market gauge, reward levels, custom reward levels, and my bets history. This tutorial is really going to be focusing on just the betting and how do we make a bet and some of the betting options. So here I've loaded up Pac-Man Race 3. Now if I want to place a single bet for the race, I've just got one runner I like. Let's pretend it's number 3 here. It's a matter of clicking the runner and then choosing your stake and then submitting your bet. It's as simple as that. 2 clicks indeed. Now what type of bet will you submit if it's a single bet in RewardBet? Well, if we scroll down here to our betting preview section, you'll see we've only selected one horse and we've got a single win bet. Now the type of bet which we put on is dependent on the market, but if we look at our options here, because this is an Australian racing market, the options for win bets are Lux, Div or fixed. So if we want to put that bet on as a fixed win bet, which is what a lot of people like to do, it's as simple as choosing a runner. You might even want to refresh your price to see if we've got the latest price, which we do have, which is $3.80, and I'll just change my stake down to $5, pressing submit and placing my bet. Now you'll notice here that RewardBet does present to you these reward levels here. They can be ignored when you're placing a single bet. If you only got one bet, there's nothing much a RewardBet can do with it besides place it as a fixed or as a Lux Div single win bet. So submitting your bet, it will now load up the bet summary where our bet was successful. We can click here on our bet receipt and this interacts with our LuxBet betting account, and you can see here we put a bet on, that's a ticket receipt number at $3.80 for win fixed with LuxBet for $5. So there you have it. That's as easy as it can be to put on a single bet. And as much as this doesn't show anything about the power of RewardBet, the important point here is that if you do want to put a single bet on, you don't need to load up your navigation with your sports bookmaker or whoever else you use. You can simply come into RewardBet and with literally one click to choose a horse, an extra click to hit submit, you're on. It's the fastest betting interface in the world that we have with RewardBet. So now we're going to move on to something which is a little bit more impressive. So now I want to show you how to use RewardBet for when we're dealing with more than one selection. So this is the power of RewardBet for practically all of your betting. So again, let's choose some runners in this Pac-Man race. If they're the 3 runners we like, we can change our stake amount here to $25, for example. And what's happening here is that RewardBet is calculating all your different returns, all your different bets for all combinations based on those 3 selections. So if we go down here, we'll see that we've got quinellas, exactas, and trifectas, and they're all proportionally staked across varying amounts depending on the price of the selections of our original runners. So this is the way professional punters bet, of course. So simply choosing those 3 runners, choosing a reward level, bronze, silver, gold, platinum or diamond, or indeed our custom reward levels such as all win or all trifecta or whatever other custom reward level we may have created, you can quickly and easily place all your bets for a race using RewardBet with just an extra click. So this would now bet 9 bets for us into LuxBet for a total amount of $25. I've chosen the Quinella Plus Trifecta custom reward level here, which was the level I was on just before I click submit bet, and you can see here that those bets are now going through to our operator, who is LuxBet, and that's all finished. The bets were placed or submitted successfully, and here is our bet receipt from LuxBet. So we've gone off to our account on your behalf, or your account on your behalf, extracted the bet details. There's all the ticket numbers, there's a quinella and trifecta bets, all for different amounts, which is the power of RewardBet. So now what we'll do is go and watch a race and keep our fingers crossed that we can get one of those runners to win, and hopefully another one to come second, because here we've got a first and second, gives us a return in our quinellas here, and maybe even first, second and third. So clicking back on this race will show you some extra details about how we can do some additional things with RewardBet. So we'll again go to 1, 3 and 10. Now down the bottom here you'll see that our position selector is turned on. Now what would happen if we wanted to stand out one of those runners? How about Julio standing it out from Electrolyte and Madam Style? It's very easy to do with RewardBet. We'll clear our selections, we'll choose number 3, and then we go down to our position selector and we're going to choose second and third. So what that says is that numbers 1 and 10 we are now putting into our RewardBet for second and third place only. When we look at our preview bets, you'll see that is reflected here. Only number 1 is set up for a win. And consequently, in this reward level here, which we're using, which is a silver reward level, we've got 1 win bet, then we've got some quinellas and some exactas and trifectas, and you see here that number 3 is always in those bets because number 3 is our standout selection here. So that's what we call a banker or standout bet, and it's as simple as choosing the runner that you want to come first, second and third in any position, and then choosing the other runners you want to come second and third. We can even do a more powerful standout bet where we choose a runner just for first, and we'll make that number 3 again, and we'll choose some runners for second and third, again numbers 1 and 10. And this time if we look at our bet preview, you'll see it's slightly different because number 3 isn't chosen here for second or third. What does that mean to our selections? That means we've got some further exactas and trifectas here, but the power of this approach is that you can increase your returns if you're very confident about that horse winning. So we added in number 7 as well. You see now with our trifecta bets, which have been calculated, 3 is a standout for win, and all the other trifectas are playing down there. So again, that's a standout win banker. Before we had number 3 also for second and third. Now number 3 couldn't come second and third as well as winning, so the bets which got created there can vary depending on how many selections you have for first. If I clear the selections here and I turn on the bet details screen, we can also replicate what we did above by clicking on these ticks here. So that is the same as what we created up the top here. So there you go, that is a typical reward bet where you choose more than one runner and you have the ability across your reward levels and your position selection options to take your runners across all 3 positions or even target certain positions. In fact, you can do anything with RewardBet. You can come down here and choose additional runners for third, for example, and they'll all be taken into account. This is quite an interesting pattern of selections here, and you can see as we move down, these are all the different trifectas and exactas and quinellas which have been created via the RewardBet brain. If we increase our stake amount, move it up to $100 because we're now getting a lot of selections being created. We move back down to the bet preview. You'll see here that again there's quite a lot of different variants across the selections. And the additional example here I want to provide to you is what we call our small stake handling options. Now, with our $100 reward bet here, $100 outlay, we actually have 23 bets being created. 16 of those are trifectas. Now, the total outlay we have on trifectas using this reward level was only $13. So many of those trifectas you'll see have actually been rounded up to 50 cents because we have the option top up turned on. Now what top up does is it says if your bets have been calculated to be below the operator's minimum, which in this example is 50 cents, so a trifecta for less than 50 cents can't be placed with LuxBet, but a 51 cent trifecta or 52 cent trifecta can be placed. So what the top up option does is it pushes up any of your bets which are below 50 cents and brings them up to 50 cents. So that means that the bets which are already above 50 cents will still go on using reward bets proportioning, and the other bets will be brought up to 50 cents. So it prevents you having to put your bets on as a flexi bet. If we didn't have top up turned on, and instead we put it under flexi, what you'd end up with is a single trifecta here as the brain recalculates everything. A single trifecta, which is a flexi trifecta for $10. So depending on what type of punter you are, you may want to avoid putting flexi bets on. Certainly if you've got the outlay working for you, the total stake amount, it is an option you might want to think about. Additionally here, the other interesting option is the Robinhood option. Now, like the Robinhood story, what Robinhood does is it takes from the rich and gives to the poor. So what we mean here is that any of those trifectas which were above 50 cents previously, the brain has automatically borrowed money from them and used it to top up the ones which were below 50 cents in order to, again, put on all your bets separately. Now a Robinhood option is a very good way of preserving your total outlay because the total bet cost is still remaining at around about $100 here, a few extra cents for roundings. You'll see the top up option here, when we put that on, it's increased the total bet by about $3. The flexi option will nearly always give you the exact amount that you're staking because it's possible to do that with flexi betting. And finally, an interesting option is the drop option. So what drop does is remove any bets which would be below what your drop amount is. And our drop amount is 50 cents, which is a minimum for LuxBet here, which is our operator. So you can see here, all these bets have been removed from your betting slip. And indeed, the number of bets being placed is going to be a lot less. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using the drop option because you're going to miss out on certain combinations, and I really think it's better to have a little bit of money on a combination than get the combination and not receive anything back. But the drop option is there for you. You can do some clever things with drop. You might want to drop everything which is below, and what happens here is that you can see these other trifectas are now all the ones which are above $1, which is 3, 1 and 10 was above $1, so that one's kept, but the other ones are all being dropped. We move this back to 50 cents again, and 3, 1 and 10, you'll see here, once the brain recalculates itself, well, which it has just done, has got a little bit less money on it there. So there you go, that's the illustration of how to do a reward bet for a single runner and also for multiple runners. Reward bets, different options and different reward levels. Thanks for watching.